es mich geärgert habe, aber die Enthüllung hätte mit diesem Ablauf in 19 nicht mehr gerechnet.
Today, we are witnessing a truly historic event, as this is the first official memorial for Boris Nemtsov in the world. Our special thanks to the DC Council for their unanimous support of Boris Nemtsov Plaza, for their wisdom in seeing the value of this memorial. To the DC Council, the DOT and MPD for helping us to organize this event. And to many elected and government officials here today for honoring the life of a man who many of us viewed as the soul of the Russian pro-democracy movement. While all of you deserve our heartfelt thank yous, I'm sure all of us would agree that we wish we never had a reason for this memorial and Boris Nemtsov was still with us.
Boris and I were driving down the street, down Wisconsin Avenue, right past our embassy. And I asked him if he'd ever been inside it. And he said, yes, I have. And we actually opened this embassy together with Boris Yeltsin. I forgot all about it, and then much later, when I was making a film about him, I decided to go back and find out more about that episode. The year was 1994. Boris was governor of the Nizhny Novgorod region, and he was part of the official Russian delegation for President Yeltsin's state visit to the US. And when Yeltsin hosted President Bill Clinton for a dinner to mark the official unveiling of the new Russian embassy in Washington, this building behind me, he pointed at Boris and said, keep an eye on this young man. One day, he will be president of Russia. Russian history has a funny way of making the wrong turns. Boris Nemtsov did not become president, but he did become something very, very important. To many people in our country and throughout the world, he became the face and the embodiment of a very different Russia from the one represented by the current regime. A freer, more democratic, more hopeful Russia. A Russia that would respect its own people and that would live at peace with its neighbors. That is a Russia Boris Nemtsov wanted to see, and that is a Russia he dedicated his life to fighting for.
I want to thank you for making this happen. For the first time, my father's name is commemorated on an official level. From now on, the block in front of the Russian embassy bears the name Boris Nemtsov Plaza. It has been 3 years since my father was gunned down on Большой Москворецкий Bridge, in front of the Kremlin walls. And 2 struggles have been unfolding since then. One to ensure full and transparent investigation. We now cannot win this struggle, but we are not giving up. The other struggle is to commemorate my father. For 3 years, volunteers on the spot of my father's assassination have been guarding a makeshift memorial made of candles and flowers. And they are there only for one reason. The state is trying to destroy this memorial.
Boris Nemtsov dedicated his life to the vision of a free and democratic Russia. He was an outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin and of his regime's corruption, of its invasion of Ukraine, and this ultimately led him to this tragic fate that he suffered, a fate that has befallen far too many of those who dare criticize Vladimir Putin. Since his murder in 2015, Boris Nemtsov has become a symbol for so many Russians, both in Russia and abroad, for those fighting for freedom and openness and transparent government.
Thank you, Zana Nemtsova, and all the members of Boris Nemtsov's family for being with us today as a reminder in person of what we lost 3 years ago. It's critical that we be reminded here by this sign, by this gathering, by the witness of those who've spoken, what it was Boris Nemtsov stood for. A Russia that would be governed by a rule of law, a Russia where there would be free press and democracy, a Russia that would be an open society. And that he was here, helping open this Russian embassy, is a stark reminder of how different a path Russia has taken from that day. Why was it that Boris Nemtsov 3 years ago today was cut down in his prime? Because Russia today is led by Vladimir Putin, who suppresses dissent, who suppresses rule of law, who suppresses a free press, who interferes in elections around the world, who invades adjacent nations and interferes in countries around the world.